We're going to be creating the basics of an obby, which if you don't know is a platform obstacle course styled game. You'll want to open up Roblox Studio, and then we're going to click on Baseplate or press Ctrl N if you're cool. This will create a new experience. There isn't much right now, but let's go over what is here. This neat looking block right here is the spawn location. When a player joins your game, this is where he or she will appear. The thing under it, all this checkered block thing, is the base plate. This is just a big part we can use as the floor. It's nothing special really, but at least it's something, not just a spawn location and an empty void, it's something. To move the camera, press the W key to go forward, S key to go backwards, A key to move to the left, and D key to go to the right. So your typical WASD movement, and you can use your Q key to go down and the E key to go up. And those are your typical directional keys, WASD, Q, and E. And then if you press Shift along with any other keys, it'll move the camera slowly in that direction. If you select something in the world, such as this spawn location, the camera will zoom into it whenever you press the F key. Even if we're facing this way and we're looking far away, press F and bam, it'll zoom right into it, as long as we have it selected. Holding down the right mouse button and moving the mouse will pivot the camera around as such, and using the mouse's scroll wheel will zoom in or out depending on the direction that you scroll. If you hold down the middle mouse button, it will let you translate the camera like this. And if you're new to Roblox Studio, play around with the camera movement and stuff until you get comfortable. It's pretty simple stuff. Parts are what make up the bulk of Roblox games. It is Roblox's main building object, and there are 5 different kinds of parts: block, sphere, wedge, corner wedge, and cylinder. To insert these parts, go to the top tabs here, click on Model, and you should see a section labeled Parts. If you click on the lower part of this button, a drop-down appears and you can select the specific type of part that you want. If you click on the upper part, it just inserts whatever part you have selected right now. Right now I have the cylinder selected, you can tell because it shows a cylinder right here. And when I click on here, it inserts cylinders. Let's say I want to change it to, let's say, a sphere. I just have to click sphere and it'll insert it when I click, and also when I click at the top right here, it'll keep inserting spheres until I change it. And now you can see them in the world. When you insert a part, it is automatically selected by default. You can tell because it has this blue outline around it, you see? If you want to select the part, make sure you're using the select tool, which can be found again in the model tab in this tool section. The select tool is the first one, or you can use the shortcut Control 1 to deselect and select it. And from there, you just click on the object you want selected, and you can see it selected with the blue outline when you click. If you'd like to have multiple objects selected, you can simply do this by holding down the Control key and then clicking the item, or the Shift key and clicking on multiple items, and you see how they're all selected. Another way of doing this is box selecting, which is just clicking down, holding, and dragging. And you see this box appears. Just make sure all the objects you want to select are within that box, and then you let go, and they're all selected. If you click on the Move tool in the tool section, or hit Control 2 on your keyboard, it'll change to the Move tool. And it's pretty intuitive. If you want to move the part up, you just click and hold this axis, and it'll move in that axis. If you want it left to right, click and hold this axis and move it around. And back and forth, same thing. And you can do this with any part you like. Something about this tool is that it's affected by the move increments right here. It's set to 1 right now. That means it'll move 1 stud whenever dragged in any direction. If you don't know how big a stud is, one of these little squares right here on the base plate are 1 stud by 1 stud. So when I move it in this direction, notice how it only moves 1 stud at a time. We can change this to whatever we want. We can make it like half a stud and it'll only move half a stud at a time. See that? Or we could get rid of it entirely by unselecting the move checkbox, and it'll just move freely, not attached to any increment. But using increments is nice. Let's take this part and move it in front of the spawn point just a little bit further away so you can jump to it. Scaling a part is Control 3 or just clicking the scale tool. It works similarly to the move tool. You just drag in the axis you'd like. So let's make the part bigger so that the player has a bigger space to land on. And then we have the rotate tool, which is Control 4 if you want the shortcut. And again, it's pretty similar. Just click and hold the axis you'd like to use it in, and then you can move it however you deem fit. Again, this is affected by the rotate tool this time. The scale tool is also affected by the move increments. The rotate is affected by the rotate. So this is in degrees. So if we set it to 90, we can only move it a quarter turn at a time. And again, we can just remove this entirely and it'll move about freely. If you want to change the color of a part, just use the color picker tool in the parts section right here. Just select all the parts you want. Let's say I want all these parts selected and I want to change them to a color, let's say red. Every part I have selected will be changed to that color. However, there is a different variation of this tool. To change it to that version, just click here and use color action as tool, and that'll activate that. Now when we click on the color, we can paint like this by clicking on the items. You see? but I just leave it to how it was before that. Each item I select becomes that color when clicked. Just like the color, we could also change the material, but keep in mind that changing the material might affect how the part behaves. For example, if we take this part and click the material manager, and we select concrete and then we apply it to the part selected, a concrete part will have a higher density than a plastic part. To change the material, just find a material you'd like. Let's make it brick. Hover over it until this button appears and then it'll apply it to all selected parts. I only have this one part selected, but bam, red brick. Now it's up to you to use what you learned to complete the obby. And I'll do the same, so I want you to pause right now, but don't worry, if you get stuck, I'll show you how I do it. I do want to note to not just keep your camera in one space, because this is a 3D world. You want to be looking around, because just because something seems right from this perspective doesn't mean it'll be right, because we're in a 3D world. So unfortunately, we didn't learn how to duplicate parts, so I'm just going to copy these parts a bunch of times and I'll just space them out. However, that's a good amount of parts. I'll change this 5, I guess. I don't know the size. And then we'll, oh wait, 5 was pretty accurate for this side. We'll change that all to 5 and maybe like 7 for here. Oh, perfect. You guys, haters gonna say it's fake. Haters gonna say I didn't guess right now and this was my first take, but it was. But it's whatever. I'm gonna select these parts and make them all into brick using the material manager. Bam, easy. And now we have to anchor the parts, and I'll show you what that does. Right now, I move the parts up. Right now they're not anchored. So when the game runs, they just fall down. In fact, nothing was anchored. You see, everything fell apart. But if we select them all and hit the anchor button, that anchors them. And you can tell they're anchored because when we select the part, it has this shaded in. When it's not anchored and we click it, it's not shaded in. Now when the game runs, they stand still like standing still stagnant stones. So all that to say, yeah, just make sure it's anchored by clicking the anchor button when they're all selected. And I'll teach you how to delete the base plate. If you don't have it already, we're going to need this Explorer window. To get that, you go where it says View, and then click this giant Explore button right here. And that adds it or removes it if you have it. It toggles it on and off. This Explorer window just shows you everything that's inside the game. Workspace is the actual world we're living in right now. You see everything you see in here is inside of Workspace, including all these parts we added. When we select this part, it matches up with this part right there. And since what we want to delete is the base plate, we select that and the base plate is selected. You can see the blue outline. Just hit the delete key. Or you could also, in the Explorer window, right click and hit delete right here. And yeah, you could delete parts like that. You could either select them in the workspace and delete them, or you can select in the middle here and then hit delete. And that deletes parts as well. Because now we need consequences for if the player doesn't make the jump, right? Now they're going to fall down there. Nobody wants to be there. Testing everything you do is super important to game development to make sure everything's going the way you expect it to. You could just go into the test tab. There's a drop down where you can use play, or you can just hit the F5 key. So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure it's play, not run. And this will just basically make us join the game as if we were just joining the Roblox game, but we're just doing it inside Studio. We're just testing. If you don't know how to move the Roblox character, you just use WASD to move around. WASD. Spacebar to jump. And you move the camera just like you do in Roblox Studio with the holding the right mouse button to pivot the camera and the zooming in and out. If you ever want to stop the test, just hit this giant red button that says stop, or you can do the shortcut Shift F5 and it'll stop it. But let's go ahead and play it. Bam. Easy, easy stuff, man. Okay, maybe that. Oh no, I thought it was too far, but I'm a Roblox veteran, you know, we can make the jump easy. We make those jumps all day. Notice how when we joined, we were facing that way instead of facing the actual obstacle? That's an easy fix. It's just because the front of the spawn point is facing that way. So to fix it, we can just rotate it to face this way. Now it's facing this way. But it's a square. It's hard to tell that it got rotated, but trust me, because when we joined, now we're facing the right way. Now, I think this is probably a front page game if you ask me. So let's get ready to publish this. None of this is actually saved on your Roblox experience yet. For that, we need to publish it to Roblox, and then other people will be able to play and find this amazing game. So to do that, we have to go to File, and where it says Publish to Roblox, or Alt-P. I'm just going to name this Documentation Guide, because this is where I'm going to record all these tutorials, but you can name it like Amazing Obby or whatever. So you can fill out your name, description, the creator if you want it to be under a group you have access to, or if you want it under yourself. If you're the only one working on the game, that's fine. You can pick the genre and what devices are going to be able to play that game. And Team Create just lets other people work on the game with you. I'll just leave it on for now, I guess. And then Create. Wow, this is so extravagant. Wow. All right. I think we did it. To make sure go on your create dashboard, and right there should be the game you just published. I guess Roblox didn't accept my name. I'll just name it something else, I guess. So now you have your game right here, and you can click on the three dots and click make public, and now it's open to the public. Anyone can join it. Congratulations on getting that done.